prop up the bench. Lift it up. Fix it. Hold
Where are
on.
you?
All right, we live now on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, good night, folks. Sorry about that.
Good night, LinkedIn.
It's been one of those days.
I'm looking for you on Instagram and I see you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Let's just see how long it takes for us to pop up. Right, so it shows that I'm live now. Good night, folks. Right. Let me prop this up on the screen, which I think is a top priority right now, which is more important. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Folks, we are having our webinar. It's on August 3rd at 12 p.m. Correct, Lyndon?
That's correct.
Right. And just inform everybody what the topic is, because we would love everybody to join us, especially if you're in sales.
Yeah, the topic is understanding your numbers, and we are going to be breaking down how three particular sales metrics can help you. Yeah, how three particular sales metrics can help you understand a lot about your sales activities, your closing cycles, everything else. So yeah,
Hi, Doreen. Hi, Gail. Yes, all is well.
good night,
So we
Gail.
just wanted to highlight that quickly. Let's take that off now because we don't need it. And let's get my comments in. Lovely. So,
Where's our announcer? Is she there tonight or no?
yeah, hold on. She showed on the bench in error. So let's jump up. You good? Let's hear you.
LinkedIn Live with Lyndon and Gerald. And the topic tonight is not locking off LinkedIn. Keep working on LinkedIn. Keep working. Keep working. This is my rhythm beat here. That's why I'm hitting
That is
his
enough. Your
chest.
hand hard.
It's good.
Okay, good night. Okay, cool.
Sorry, we may have to go to bed early because I have to drop it early.
Okay, cool. We need to start the show. Good night. Good night, Alana. Good night, Michael.
Hi, Alana. Hi, Michael.
Good night,
How
good
are
night.
you? My
Good night,
name's Zoe
everybody,
Wesley
on
Joe.
IG. But yes, so Michael, I think you'll enjoy this tonight as we're talking about bringing things home to the finish line because we're trying to push some of those numbers. So yes, Anna, beautiful announcer who hits your chest very hard. And before anybody asks, yes, like folks, you know I'm always wearing yellow. The pants and stuff is yellow. I get that question plenty.
There's a yellow logo.
No, I have a yellow pants and yellow shoes, but I mean, you know,
Right,
everybody's
right.
the thing. Hey, Akil, good night. So let me say why we're bringing up this topic tonight, because we're at the 27th. We have up until Sunday, based on how some people do sales. And we actually have a couple of days left where we can really drive things home, especially depending on the type of sales you have. And I wanted to bring this topic in particular because one, it would align with what we're doing next week in terms of the webinar. But two, I was mentioning to you, Lyndon, I had about 2 deals, even one today, that got pushed back by 2 months. So, you know, and remember, you know, when you're thinking a deal is there at the finish line, you have the approval, everybody says yes, and then all of a sudden, this kind of goes into this stick kind of goes into the spoke of your wheel, and everything just kind of get messed up. So you have to make sure and look at your overall pipeline. So
whatever was your forecast is no longer your forecast. Well, at least for these next two months, basically.
So I'm a bit upset that those things don't close, but yes, don't worry, folks. Remember, there's always yellow.
As it relates to sales, a couple things. So I've had that when we were doing copiers, when we were doing cars, but even when we were doing stuff at Digicel, right? So we've all had that, and then I've also had that as a consultant, where we would have gone in, do some work, customer would have given some commitments, but then something comes up and it kind of throws us off. All right. And based upon where you are with your numbers. So that happened to me a lot last year. Right. And there was one, if I had to just give my first point, and I just put it from my experience, one of my first points that I will say from my personal experience is that it made me realize really quick that I didn't have enough in the pipeline. Because when some of those opportunities don't fall the way it's supposed to fall, I didn't have enough of the value. So it's like you lose an opportunity that is, let's say, 15K, whatever your number is, right? That would help you hit your monthly target. The other deals that I had in the pipeline wasn't enough to support that.
Yeah.
So what it did do is that it helped me recognize the additional work that I needed to put in towards doing. And this used to happen with different members of my team, and it was always a clear realization that that for me, if we're talking from the selfish standpoint first, and for any sales rep, anytime something like that happens, we didn't have enough in the pipeline to be able to support what we were doing, and so we were pegging a lot of this to be closing. And yes, it's a sure deal, but nothing is sure until the customer signs, and then we're moving forward. So
Yeah,
that's from my
well,
own personal experience last year, and I have more to share like that too.
you know what messed me up? Because it related to that. Because they got all the green signs, all the green lights lit for certain opportunities, you take the gas off the pressure on the the process and the other opportunities
The other side of
in
things.
terms of how the speed of things was going in the pipeline. I think that was the error I made on my end. That was the honest error.
Yeah,
So
I had a similar. So the beginning of last year. So the beginning of last year was 2021. So November 2020, I got a call from a client. We had a very good conversation, series of conversations leading all the way into 2021. Submitted the proposal. Everything was okay with the proposal, and then there was a pause. You understand? And then they were like, okay, well, we want to actually start this in March because of, well, yes, we were still in the COVID period, but they were actually one of the beneficiaries of COVID. They were benefiting from
yeah,
COVID. So it wasn't a COVID issue, right?
it was things
But
nice.
yeah, and then March came, and then, it was, so the more, and here's my thing with that too. Based upon the timeline that is deferred, I found that it was sometimes harder to re-engage that particular customer, and they never committed. So I'm not
Yep.
saying that that's going to happen to and all of us, but that was my experience. And I kept kind of re-engaging, but I said, you know what, Lyndon, I think based upon how I felt about this deal, as much as I felt good about it, it still wasn't good enough because it wasn't signed off. And too much, I laid how should I say this? But I put a lot on that particular opportunity closing, even though I had other stuff closing. But that one, because it was kind of significant as well, I kind of pegged a lot of stuff on that too. So,
Yeah, you
so
get
yeah,
blinded by the big deal.
yeah, by the
Ugh.
big deal. Yeah, it happens. It happens. I mean, we've seen Daniel Disney talk about that too with his memes and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah, I get upset at myself. I really did. But so here's the first piece of advice I'll advise everybody to do is to immediately go back and revisit and look at all your deals in the pipeline. But
yeah,
I think the most important one to look at is because, and this will go into what we both wanted to talk about, which is the sales process, is to look and see the deals that actually at the later stage of the pipeline.
yes,
Right now, I want to throw this into as well because I know this happens and I don't want it to be an option. Do not revisit accounts if you're trying to close and offer a discount. That should not be a reason to close. That's just my little quick feedback. I don't know what's your thoughts on that, but
no,
I'm not a fan
I
of discounting.
totally agree. I had a I had a sales manager when certain deals got deferred, right? Because deferred is the word I use. Um,
Hmm.
when certain deals got deferred, the, the person would come back and say, "Well, do you think that if we offer them a 5% or a 10% discount, they will close the deal?" And I was like, "No, because that is not the reason why they deferred in the first place. The issue was the money."
Exactly.
You know, sometimes my guys didn't do a good job in. No, let me be real honest with this. Sometimes my guys gave fake commitments,
Yes.
right? So let me start with that. Sometimes my guys gave fake commitments in terms of how they forecasted. So there wasn't even a close date. You understand? And then other instances, the guys and they got commitments, but again, this could tie into the whole sales strategy and sales process. So even if the customer says, okay, so we want to start August 1st, we should have counter questions to say, um, so we have Sheldon Paul here, right? So I'll use Sheldon Paul as an example. So hey Sheldon, okay, so I'm going to make a note that you'll be looking at starting August 1st. That's great. Quick question: is there anything that you think could come up between now and August 1st that may throw this, that we want you to set back this particular start date? Because I want to be able to set my expectations. And the good thing is that qualification. So what you're doing is really requalifying that customer to close on August 1st or by
Yeah.
August 1st, right?
Before, because
And
we're trying to close it off for the month. But
yeah,
yeah.
because your start date is August 1st, so we want to sign off all now, right? And by doing that, you get to now make a better forecast, even as from a solopreneur all the way into if you're into a sales team. But my first point is that sometimes sales leaders themselves, they don't understand that it's not about a discount, and that's why sometimes we give away stuff. And you offer the discount, the customer say yeah, but and they'll come back for the discount next month.
True.
So-
Yeah. So I would be honest and say that question was not in my
List.
But here's the reason why. It's not an excuse, but I'll tell you the reason what caused it, right? Good night, Crystal, Anelia, Seatal College, good night. Here's the reason why. I was in the room, I was dealing with the decision makers and the influencers. Everybody who had a role to play and all the buying. So I was happy because all the buying signals said, and everybody said yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So trust me, this question is, I became naive and said, yeah.
Now, mind you, right? Sometimes there's a legitimate reason as to why they defer. You know, there's no
legit reasons.
Yeah, it's a legit reason, and it's not like they're giving you any kind of rigmarole kind of thing, right? But again,
And I would tell you, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just from a sales perspective, and these are things that I kind of learned the hard way, boy, because some of the opportunities that I was going after were all large opportunities. So when you have to forecast deals 45,000 and up, and then take them out of your forecast month end, or your manager's looking for them, or you looking for them now as an entrepreneur,
yeah,
you know, it gives you anxiety. But if it's one thing that I've learned is really how to ask those questions the right way and not get too excited until the thing is signed off.
But that's my problem, Lyndon. You know, hype is getting certain things, and I was calm. Like in some of these cases, I was calm. Yeah, legit, I was calm, you know, because I was making sure control. I had things mapped out at the next steps because I know this how the sales reps operate. But I was excited, but at the same time, I didn't show it. I was just So I think that excitement internally make me forget like that question. Like I have this highlighted now. What may throw off or what may stop this deal from happening since we have this agreed time? What do you think might pop up?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you the two just now. I'll put it this way, I could tell you the two scenarios just to give everybody a little bit of insight. Number one, actually is one main thing. Number one, especially on the B2B side, some individuals go on vacation.
Vacation, yes.
Or there's the onboarding of somebody new. That's the two scenarios I'm going in. The one thing that's supposed to happen, people are going on vacation, they have to. Because it have training backed up. And then the other set is there's somebody new on board and who's senior level, and I want to bring that person into the decision to look at everything. And I'm just like,
yeah. So, but I'll you actually also have a gosh, it just slipped my mind, right? But you also have one or two questions that I took from you. Like there are questions that you have that I use. So here's one I think that we normally like to ask, right? Even if they are deferring, and normally we have to kind of coach our clients that this is not a rude question, because sometimes customers may say they want to defer it or they may want to come back in 2 months, but they don't want to tell you why. So a good question to ask too is, what will be different in 2 months? Like, what will be the difference between starting now and 2 months from now, right?
Agreed.
Because I might have to actually tell them that starting 2 months from now, you might have a price increase, you may not get the model, and I'm saying this open for everybody who may be selling different things, right? Because 2 months from now could mean a lot based upon what you're selling,
Agreed.
So 2 months from now, we can't just factor in 2 months from now from when the customer is ready, but we also have to factor in what does 2 months from now mean for us in this opportunity for the customer. And again, it could be from software, like Sheldon does server stuff and that kind of thing. 2 months from now could mean that this particular model is no longer going to be available or supported or whatever it is.
But so good night, Ishmael. You had to share a video Ishmael sent. I don't know if he sent it to you, but in terms of some results you got from the advice. So let's talk about this. So for everybody who doesn't want to give a discount, you can give pricing alternatives. Hey, Emily Baldio, let me know if it's still Baldio because I know you recently got married. So congrats on that. So, and like Julian said, 2 months from now, items could go out of stock, so you can't guarantee it. But I would like to offer, what do you think about pricing options, Lyndon? So in other words, like one of the things I always do with clients is that I understand how their budget rolls in terms of how they pay out stuff. Because sometimes some companies have a limit in terms of what they could spend every month. So therefore I tell them split the payment 50% now, split the other one half, and then depending on now, you don't need to pay upfront, but at least the contracts get started and then they pay it in 2 weeks because depending on the time they sign off and all of those complications, it makes it flexible where you're able to do it. Because I've done it before where I told clients pay when the new month starts because we'd already just been like a week and a half into the training.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not an issue. So that's an alternative to offering a discount, folks.
I do like that option because that is a good alternative, but as providing that something is up with budget. So let's say, for instance, they themselves are expecting a particular revenue or they have a cost that they need to manage. So bringing on our cost in the same month may be a concern, if you understand where I'm coming from.
Correct.
So you can offer them that, providing that finance is the issue for the deference. But let's swing it around to the sales rep side a little bit, right? So we were talking about the defer and that kind of thing. What do we do now as entrepreneurs and business owners for customers who defer? They're not sure, that kind of thing. Again, it really comes down to one, making sure that we have enough in the pipeline so that if one thing falls out, you have other things in there. Whether it could be others in small amounts, which means you'll have to have plenty of the little bit.
Yep.
Or you have enough of the bigger ones that supplements it, so it doesn't really impact you. You just really will pick up that deal later on. And again, it is something that I had to make sure. One, as a sales rep, I learned. Two, as a manager, I learned how to teach. And then even as an entrepreneur, I had to learn to make it a practice for myself. So like the first 3 months of this year, I think I was sharing with you that I really started to pay attention to my numbers, the model, the services of what I was selling, what are the price points, and then of course what my budget was and how much I need to sell per month.
Yeah.
And if I'm living by that, and this is the same thing for sales reps, this is the point we get in at here, guys. If you are living by understanding your numbers that way, then you will know that it's wise to stay ahead. If you need to sell 7 cars or 7 computers or whatever it is, then you better work on trying to close 10 a month instead of 7 per month.
Agreed. So like for me now, I'll give you an example because we want to stress to people what you could do in the next couple of days. I'm looking back at my pipeline. I know there's some people who said they were confirming, but things kind of got delayed or off track. So I'm revisiting some of those persons. What I'm doing more importantly too, however, is that the deals where I know I have like sure confirmations, I'm making sure that it's sure and I walk it through to the finish line. Right? Like that's the main thing because I don't want any other things to fall off because I understand that's the nature of things. But at the same time, I am going through the pipeline. So we'll go back to the first point where you said it's not enough pipeline that causes some people to push hard at the end of the month, but also to its pipeline diversification. I believe no matter what product or service you're selling, you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, whether it's product or service, you have things that are you have things that move quickly, so you should have a mixture of small, medium, and large opportunities in your pipeline. So for me, what I'm fortunate with now is that I'm actually making sure and visit all the small stuff in my pipeline because those things are easy to push through. So yeah. But as we take a pause, because we had a little 20-minute mark, I want to put a quick pause to ask people who here, what are your strategies in terms of what you're doing right now to push things to close, especially as we within the last couple of days? What are some of the things that you do?
Yeah, I think Sheldon put up something on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
there
I'm putting it here.
For the Instagram folks. He's saying that there are times instead of going the route of discounts, we have repositioned the same proposal with an increased time at a rate that will offer cost savings over a period of time. For example, moving an opportunity for 1 year into a deal for 3 years positioned as a cost saving. So yeah, so I
That's
guess
not bad.
you strategically spread it out so it's a lower cost. Excuse me, I have to fix that. So it's a lower cost to
Where's
the
that
customer.
noise?
That's something reminding me that I have it on I have it on pause for too long.
You have a fax machine?
Yeah, so what Sheldon is actually doing is now offering a different option in terms of cost savings for a customer. So let me just fix
Yeah.
that. You continue.
Yeah. Let us set up fax, folks. But yeah, so all right, so here's the other one I think is important because I went through this today listening to the news. Listening when I was speaking to the clients with the stuff that just didn't go to schedule. And Lyndon, I know you would agree with this. Focus, get your mindset right. So before you take action on everything, deal with the disappointment and being upset that the things didn't go through because that's just part of it. We are emotional in sales, but disattach yourself from the outcome and then refocus on the new clients that you could actually close and get the business in
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
like I literally went for a drive, listened to some music. I come back now. I have my book. I have everything in terms of what I have to do with my strategy. I'm looking back at my notes and I'm like, right, game plan in place. Let me get this done for the rest of the month.
Yeah.
So
you know,
don't stress, folks.
Yeah, sometimes we don't need this, but sometimes when these things happen, it helps us because it puts us in a position, and most times our position is financial, right? So sometimes
Yes,
it
it's
puts us in
always
a financial
financial.
position where you say, "Shit, you know what? Let me make sure that doesn't happen to me again." you know, so you make sure that you do the work now to always stay on top of everything that you are doing. And I think
So
this is
yeah.
why too. Sorry, you make your point there, JB.
No, just saying, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think this is why too sales leaders. So your sales process is a big part of understanding and setting the right expectations. One of the challenges I had was the Excel that we were using in my corporate days because I didn't have the skill as yet to drill down into an Excel properly with what the guys were presenting. I was because we just looking at it as an entrepreneurs, right? What
Yeah.
happens when you have to now take a forecast and submit it to your business unit head, and then they submit it to their CEO?
Yeah, that is big pressure.
Some pressure, and then that pressure trickles back down, right?
Yeah, but then there's
So-
a manager to qualify that properly, yeah, to walk you through the
Right.
questions. Yeah.
That is the question. That is where I'm going with that. So I had to learn because I remember, dude. I went up to our CEO, guy by the name of Fenwick Reed at the time, really good guy, and Jared, that man drilled me on my team's forecast. If it was a piece of paper, he would have basically crumpled it up and threw it back in my face. You understand? Because we started to have a pattern every month end because I would meet him every Monday. We start off good with certain deals, and then later on in the month, this deal not happening, this deal not happening, this deal not happening. So it really came down to what were the guys doing? How are we qualifying customers the right way? What are some of the customer questions that we're asking all throughout the process to requalify that this is really legit? And I had to
Agreed.
make sure I sanitize that and send it to these guys because I'm wasting their time because they are now taking that information and presenting it to the board. And the
And
board
it's
presenting it
problems.
to the group. You
Yep.
understand?
But then
So-
I think an important question for everybody to ask themselves is if you think something is at the closing stage where you could approach your customer and ensure everything is on track, you have to ask yourself what buying signals that they gave you that makes you convinced, because that's the same feedback you have to give to management. And of course, if you could time something like if the client says we are meeting Friday at 2 p.m., like all those things are great signs because that shows the client is committed to signing off on stuff. But I think once you understand those aspects, it kind of helps you out a lot in terms of making sure that you can close. So like a big thing in terms of what we're emphasizing in all of this is that depending on the type of sales you do, a lot of it is gonna stem back to your pipeline. So take a look at it and see what you can get out of it. What about understanding margin as opposed to markup? Understanding what's the required margin and on which deals. Love it. And especially in B2B sales, that's important, especially based on some solutions, because you can, and I think Sheldon and Sheldon, you probably tell me if I'm wrong or right. This is where you offer the 1 year versus 3 year, because even though the margins will be lower, the revenue over time will be more, if I'm not mistaken.
Your revenue might actually be higher when you offer it over a year, because
Yeah.
you may earn more. You may earn more revenue as to how you price your stuff. But yeah, I think what Sheldon. So what we're talking about here, guys, from folks from Instagram, is that Sheldon Paul mentioned, he put a point up on on LinkedIn indicating, he's asking, what about understanding margin as opposed to markup, right? Understanding what is the required margin, um, and on which deals. And your profit margin is what's important, because that's what you really want to go after. Your markup is your markup, but your markup doesn't necessarily mean you're making the profit that you need in your business, because the profit is what you keep after your cost and everything else, right? So yeah, looking at margin versus markup is important in your business, because it would also help you as it relates to your strategy, right?
Yeah.
Because a good so like you making the same point here, a good deal is really all right. So let me give it to you in this example. Same thing with what Sheldon is speaking of. There were some times that we will go after certain deals and we only making 6% profit. That wasn't good for an organization. You understand?
Yeah.
Going after a deal and you're only making 6%, but you have all this work happening. You're basically working at cost.
Yep. And it's in making sense. Look,
Don't make
Ishmael is saying,
sense.
I remember Ishmael is saying here on Instagram, I remember crafting different price levels in the sales process, but adopting a video game model where, say, level 1 pricing gets you X benefits, and then show them at level 15 what the state of sales. Yeah. A lot of companies now do that in their pricing model now. So there's a freemium version, and then they show you all the different benefits and stuff you could get on, and even make a recommendation by saying like what's the most popular option. So yeah, I agree with you. It's just that, like, especially in my case, and in case of some people, there are always going to be scenarios where it's out of your control in terms of what you can. But I love the fact that if you could assess and understand what the deal is and what you could do to get them over the line, like in Ishmael's case and even for Sheldon's case, if you're providing a service, you could actually offer a staggered deal to them so that it gets them on board, and then eventually there's a commitment from the client to actually increase the services as time goes along once you meet certain milestones. So therefore, you get them on board if you want them in for the month.
Yeah.
You switch your
And
camera.
okay, here we go. Sorry.
Right.
Right. I think too. So again, based upon what your business is,
Mm-hmm.
if you can offer a service, and again, this kind of ties back into a little bit what Sheldon was saying. This, based upon what your business is, if you can start switching your business into a service oriented thing, where you get a recurring revenue for 6 months or for a year, you will tend to find that that is more supplemental than having to run down sale after sale after sale.
Yep.
So so again, it's just you're changing up your business model to make sure that you have some sort of recurring revenue stream, maybe offering more of a coaching model than just, okay, for us, offer more of a coaching model than a sales training one-off kind of thing, because it's like a product. Every time you finish one, you have to find another one,
And
right?
in my case, I'm creating my LinkedIn online course. I'm gonna do the recording, if not tomorrow, Friday, because some of the things in my schedule. But it may be next week for the latest. But I'm gonna get that recording done like sometime in August at its launch, probably by the middle of August for the latest.
But
So yeah.
just to circle back for the people who are in sales, because you may not have any control of adjusting your service models and stuff like that. But if you're in sales and stuff like that is happening, always revisit your sales activities. As I said, giving it from my personal experience,
Yep.
I recognize that I was a little bit too pegged on those opportunities,
Me
and
too.
and just look at what your volume of opportunities are and the mix of certain things. So I had low hanging fruit stuff, which I know, this is also important. And this is why, let me make a plug here. This is why you all need to attend next week's webinar, because we will be
Yes.
talking about these. Here's what we're going to talk about. We will be talking about average time to close. That is very important for what we're talking about right here today, right?
Yep.
Average time to close. we will be talking about your sales activities, sales and marketing activities to bring the right deals in. And we will also be talking about qualifying and having the ideal type of customer. You understand? But you see that thing of average time to close and the number of deals that you need per month, per day, that kind of thing, how much people you need to be seeing. We even have a template that we are working with to help guide you, because we'll be using the template as a guide, so that when if you'll see it, you'll be able to say, okay, if I need to sell this, I need to make X amount, then I need to be doing this amount of sales for the year or for the next 6 months and that kind of thing. So
Correct.
come to the webinar next week.
You can find the link on our website. It's registration for free. It's also on LinkedIn as well. If you search it, and you can find it as well.
Yes.
So it's really good.
Let's talk about two particular points. You could maybe bring up Gail's zone first, and then we could look at Ishmael's zone after.
Hold on. Right. So getting back to Sheldon's point, if you stretch over 3 versus 1 year, how do you account for inflation or even an increase in labor costs? Ooh, I didn't think of that. That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, I
But that's a risk.
I can't say how. Yeah, it is a risk, but I think you could maybe put it into your pricing. I think if I mean, knowing Sheldon, those things will be factors, because it'll become part of your pricing. You know. So when the customer gets it, you already factored it. Now you would know what inflation is going to be 3 years from now, but you factor that in. You know what I mean? But I'll allow Sheldon to answer that question. So just to add to the conversation tonight. And Ishmael had one where he said, well, Ishmael was just saying, so true, Lyndon. Since I switched to consulting and having my workshops, the revenue is way better than doing physical product sales, right? So again, he switched to a model where he's servicing customers on a monthly basis. So it supplemented and supported his revenue. And a little bit further down, he says, I always say every
business can either teach wholesale or retail.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, Sheldon says in response to Gail, I believe this can be managed in the pricing structure. So probably, and given the fact of how large the solution is, or depending on what type of solution, they could probably add in a 5 or 10% buffer in price. So you have that flexibility in case things go like that. So yeah.
Yeah. And as we talk in pricing, I just wanna lay this on you all, that one thing that I want to recommend that us as entrepreneurs do, even for us as sales professionals and stuff too. Now that we are reopening, because we were closed for 2 years, we weren't moving around much. So I'm not sure how you guys would have factored in your pricing, but make sure you factor in the increase in gas as to whatever the rate of gas is now, if you're moving around, meeting your customers in person and stuff like that. And also factor in your rate of being up and down. So whatever that cost is for your car per month, because those things need to be applied to the pricing of your customers. You're not cheating your customer, because if I have to use my car and spend the gas to get to provide you a service, then those are costs to me that I need to also apply to you.
Agree. Yeah? It's a lot to consider, but
yeah,
there's a lot to consider. But as I said, it's easy because, especially if you're using technology and you have a CRM, you could run through all of these things into your system and see exactly where you have. So, as I say, all we saying and wishing for everybody is, if you increase your activity in the right manner and the right things, you can actually get to where you want to get to where you want to go with regard to your target for this month. So last thing Ishmael is saying, I think Sheldon can put a policy that every year over the 3 years, price will be subject to change at a certain percentage range. Yeah. You have different things you and the customer and the client could agree to, especially if you form that relationship. So I fully agree with you.
Yeah.
Right. So let us know if you have any other tips. Let us know what your thoughts about it. Of course, as usual, drop some hearts, drop some applause. We always love those things, so that helps other people find it. And of course, join us for the webinar. As we said, it's something I'll be doing a little different this year. It's a webinar every month, hitting on certain topics, and Lyndon is definitely leading on this one, which I agree with. Is numbers is important. You need to understand the numbers, because I'm going now in HubSpot now and recalculate and look at my stuff and literally see what I need to shift around and bring forward and call and schedule an email and schedule a call and work some maths and get some stuff sorted out.
Sorted out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just the goal of being disciplined too. And this is not like to you, but just to everybody, because sometimes when sales go well, salespeople coast.
Yeah.
And that coasting could cost you. Again, I'm just saying that because that's been my personal experience.
But that's what it is. Yeah,
It happens.
listen, for everybody in entrepreneurship, anybody in sales, that's what happened. Like your course, like it was so weird. You might think of being ridiculous by saying it. I was just more focused on being right and helping them with their problem.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care about anything else. I was just focused on that. And like I didn't think of anything else. I just know I was on the path of helping them. But yeah, I forgot a couple of key things. It happens to everybody in sales. It's part of it. I think where it impacts sales more because this how it impacts us is that this impacts your commission and what you earn. But lessons like these is things that you don't forget.
Yeah, for real.
So
So what's going to happen, guys, is that Jared is going to drop. Well, both Jared and myself. We're going to be dropping links. So on our respective pages, right? So for folks on Instagram, look at our Instagram stories and our Instagram pages for the webinar page that we want you all to register to. Again, it's understanding your numbers. Folks who are on LinkedIn, look at the comments. We will be putting the link, the page, that webinar.
I don't have the link.
Comments. You dropped it already in the comments?
No, I don't have the link.
Oh, you do it, right? So I'll send that to you, right?
You drop it, yeah. So I could put it in the comments here.
Yeah. So when we do that, you'll be able to register for the webinar next week. It's on the 3rd of August.
It's a free webinar.
We'll be doing it from 12 to 12:50, just for an hour. We'll be talking about your numbers. If you want to close your month and your year strong, or you just want to close the rest of the year strong. And also, if you pick this up as a good practice, it's good momentum for the rest of to start your new financial year.
Agreed. So thanks for joining us, folks. Before we leave, we'll put that up there, and then I'll just put the webinar. You know what I have to get? Like if I had a QR code, Linda, that would have been excellent. If you once you share it in the chat, I would just drop it.
You'll just drop it.
I'll just copy. No, I'll copy and paste.
Right, cool.
Yeah, and it's on the LinkedIn event page already. So if you check out the LinkedIn event page, that's what I should have probably put. Where is that? And let us know, folks. Any questions? Anything extra that you think we should have touched on?
Yep.
Where is it?
So thank you, guys. So Lord Jamie, MG Sales, TT, good night, Candice, good night, John Bills, Ishmael, always thanks for your contributions and just being part of the community. Keston, what's up? Good night to you as well. And Christian is great. Good night. And well, everybody else on LinkedIn, just thanks for joining and your engagements as well.
Yes.
Looking forward.
So let me look for one thing here. Right, I found it, folks. I'm just dropping it in the chat here now. I'll drop it. You'll see to my Instagram stories, folks, on Instagram, because you know Instagram is also a different kettle of fish. Y'all, let me know if you could click and see that there. But yes, that is dropped in the chat. I'm dropping it here on LinkedIn as well. So thanks for joining us. And
have a good night, folks.
See you all. And by the way, are we doing two London next week Wednesday? Even though we're doing a webinar, we're doing a live after, right?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Lovely. Great. We'll talk soon, folks. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.